The Chicago Bears had themselves a dress rehearsal today at Soldier Field. The Bear Raid siren went off. The players were in pads and uniforms. They went out of the tunnel. All the good stuff, all the sights and sounds of football were finally present. But the Chicago Bears still do not know who's going to be starting at quarterback for them week 1 against Detroit. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears training camp update video, my final of the 2020 NFL season. I hate to be saying that, guys, but they're going to be cutting off media access to these practices after today, so nobody is going to know what's going on anymore during the next week of practice, which does honestly suck, but they need to also practice without the media watching them, okay? They're going to practice specific plays, specific concepts that they don't want the media knowing because then that stuff could be out, and it's going to be out in public to the real world. So obviously, they want a full week of practice without, anybody watching, but it does suck because this series has been having a ton of success. I mean, you guys blew the series up, so big shout out again to each and every one of you. Love all of you guys, man. You guys are true legends. But like I mentioned, guys, today's practice at Soldier Field was a complete dress rehearsal for what's going to come week 1 against Detroit. For the first time this offseason, the Chicago Bears practiced at Soldier Field and were in full pads and uniform and simulated a game-like situation. With no preseason this year at all, a practice like this is definitely going to help in deciding, which players are going to make the 53-man roster. The Bear Raid siren went off. They pumped in artificial crowd noise. The players went in and out of the tunnels doing their pregame, prep and stretching and, doing all that fun stuff. So it was as close to a game-like situation, game-like feel, game-like atmosphere as you can possibly get in these crazy COVID times. Now, obviously, it's going to be nothing close to what an actual game would be like, but this season, guys, they're not going to be playing anything close to what an actual game would be like because there's going to be no fans, okay? In the majority of stadiums this year, there's not going to be any fans. So that's such a massive component that's just taken out of the game. It's going to benefit offenses. It's going to hurt defenses like ours because defenses do rely on that crowd's energy, the crowd's noise to confuse the quarterbacks, confuse the offense. But on the other hand, man, offenses are going to benefit because that noise, that confusion, it's probably not going to be there. Yeah, you have artificial crowd noise, but come on, guys, that's not even close to the same thing, okay? Artificial crowd noise, just look up. You're not going to see anybody actually there. That noise is not going to impact you that much if you know that there's literally nobody there actually watching. Nobody actually there to boo you. And obviously, if our quarterbacks do bad this year, the Bears are not going to pump in artificial boos, okay? So either case, man, our quarterbacks are not going to get booed this year. They don't have to worry about getting booed in front of their home fans. So that is something that should benefit the offense, at least to some extent. But I'm getting a little bit sidetracked here. Let's get back to this practice today. Okay, what happened? How did the quarterbacks look? How did the defense look? How did the offense look? I'll talk about that all in this video right here. So pretty much how today's practice worked was that it was a full scrimmage, offense versus defense, ones versus ones, twos versus twos. But obviously the quarterbacks were switching with playing with the ones and the twos. So some drives, Trubisky was playing with the ones. Some drives, Foles was playing with the ones. So they kind of switched back and forth. Trubisky's full day with the ones is actually going to be coming this upcoming Tuesday now. It was supposed to happen on Thursday a couple days ago, but obviously a lot of NFL teams, a lot of sports leagues canceled practices and games that day, and the Bears were one of those teams. So unfortunately, we did not get to see Trubisky that day, but that is getting pushed to Tuesday. He is going to get his chance, but unfortunately, the media is not going to be there, okay? They're not going to be allowed to see what's happening. So we're never going to see fully, the public is not going to see what Trubisky did with the ones during his full days. So that's why I'm saying again, guys, don't think you know who's going to be starting week 1 in Detroit. Like, literally nobody actually knows. There's so much stuff going on behind the scenes. The coaches have game tape that the media does not. So don't put 100% faith in what I'm telling you in these training camp update videos because, again, I do not have as much information as the Chicago Bears organization actually has. I'm just trying to give you guys as much information as the public knows. But ultimately, the final decision is going to rest with Matt Nagy and the Chicago Bears based on the information that they have, not that we have. So with all that being said, guys, who won the day today in practice? Which quarterback? Unfortunately, I do not know because the media was completely split in their opinions, okay? A lot of people are saying that Nick Foles won the day. Some said that Nick Foles definitely won the day. Some said that, It was close, but they would give the edge to Nick Foles. But on the other side, I mean, a lot of people were also saying that Trubisky looked good. One of them being Adam Hogue, okay, the main guy whose articles I've been reading every day in these videos. He has been covering this quarterback competition in full detail, in a lot of detail, more detail than a lot of these other reporters have been. And he said that Trubisky did look pretty good, and he gives the overall edge to Trubisky for today. But ultimately, the fact that you're getting a lot of different answers on who won the day, that means that no quarterback actually fully, definitively won the day, okay? It was pretty much neck and neck, really close, and no quarterback really rose above and stole the day. Now, something to keep in mind about today was that the entire practice was scripted, so although it was a scrimmage, you weren't getting the natural flow of football, okay? So every down that they were playing, it was a scripted play. So it didn't matter how many yards you got the play before. You started at whatever yardage was on the script. So a lot of the element of having to make split decisions on the fly, having to bounce back from a big loss, a lot of that surprise stuff, it was taken away because you already know what was coming the next play. Like, it didn't matter. Like, you could have gotten like a 50-yard pass on 1st and 10, but the next play it would be 2nd and 8 or something like that. So it was completely scripted. Matt Nagy was just trying to see how the quarterbacks would react in different situations, on different downs, on different, parts of the field. So it was more of a situational practice than a full-on scrimmage. So take of that what you will. But either case, man, let me get to the article now, which Adam Hogue wrote today about the QB battle, where he talks about all this in more detail. So talking about Mitch Trubisky, guys, he said that it's been hard to evaluate the decision-making with tough viewing angles at Halisal and no access to the practice tape, but Saturday's view from the stands helped a little bit. Early in the scrimmage, Trubisky looked to take a shot deep, but correctly read the defense and realized Tariq Cohen was uncovered underneath for a big catch and run. A high throw to Anthony Miller almost resulted in an interception, but that was followed by a nice strike to Darnell Mooney in the middle of the field, which, by the way, guys, I've been hearing Darnell Mooney's name now a lot in these reports. So Darnell Mooney, man, he's having a phenomenal training camp. But the execution on a goal line fade to Jimmy Graham was one of the better throws of the day. While working with the second-team offense, Trubisky threw 2 interceptions to cornerback Kyle Fuller, but the second one was batted up in the air at the line of scrimmage, and Nagy was not too bothered by the first one because his quarterback was extending a play that was already dead, likely. If you get sacked because they're not hitting you live, extend the play and give the guys a chance to finish, and that's kind of what the first one was, Nagy said. So you've got to take a little bit of that into account. That being said, it was hard to see where Trubisky was going with that throw, and it was an easy pick six for Fuller the moment it left the quarterback's hands. Trubisky also overthrew Mooney on a deep ball up the middle, which was a theme for both quarterbacks Saturday. Hate to hear that. The highlights of the day came on back-to-back throws later in practice while working with the first team, as Trubisky threw 2 perfect deep outs to Miller and Riley Ridley on the left sideline. After the scrimmage, Trubisky said he believes he is showing the coaches that he's more accurate, especially out into the left and outside the numbers. I think I've shown that I can make those throws and I've done better with my footwork, and then just being able to lead and run this offense. So overall, it seems like with the first team, Trubisky did have a pretty decent day. Obviously with the second team, he has been struggling, but that is kind of to be expected because obviously you are playing with the second team offensive line, the second team receivers, second team tight end. You are not going to be as great as you are with the first team. So I'm not too bothered by Trubisky playing poorly with the second team. It seems here that with the first team, he is playing pretty good. At least today, that's what the report was. And to see Trubisky making better decisions in reading the defense, reading the field, what's going on around him. For example, seeing that Tariq Cohen was uncovered underneath and, making throws to his left and outside the numbers, which he has struggled with sometimes in his career. That is a positive sign, and I love to see it. Now let's move on to Foles, though. Let's see what he had to say about Nick Foles. And about Nick Foles, he said that Foles' day was a little bit more up and down, but he did avoid the interceptions. An early pass was broken up by Fuller. Can you tell Fuller had a great day? Yeah, he definitely did. When Foles' pass fluttered behind Javon Wims. Another incompletion sailed behind Miller. 2 deep shots to Mooney fell incomplete, 1 short and 1 long, although it's worth pointing out that Mooney appeared to be slightly banged up on the first attempt, as he dove for the ball and may not have been moving at 100% when the second deep ball went over his head. Foles did have 2 deep balls completed, although it will be interesting to see how the coaches grade each play. One came on an obvious sack when Foles continued the play and threw a nice ball to Rodney Adams. The other was an Antonio Freeman he did what? Catch, where safety Marquis Christian failed to haul in the interception as he fell down, and the ball bounced right to Ted Ginn Jr., who ran in for a touchdown. Watching live, I actually thought it was a good ball that was misplayed by Ginn Jr., who seemingly stopped his route short of where the pass ended up. A few plays later, a deep ball to Miller was clearly overthrown. On the positive side, Foles' decision-making continues to stand out. He regularly recognizes where blitzes are coming from and threw into the blitz twice Saturday for completions. It's clear he is in command of the offense and reads defenses well before the snap. So again, guys, nothing here truly does surprise me because this is all the stuff that Nick Foles is great at doing. He's great at reading defenses. He's great at making quick decisions, knowing where he has to go with the football, but sometimes he does not possess, enough of an arm, enough athleticism to actually make that throw. He is a better decision maker than Trubisky by far right now, but from a measurable standpoint, his measurables do not compare to Trubisky. So obviously, the best thing for this franchise will be that Trubisky, the guy with superior, athleticism, better measurables probably, that he becomes better at reading defenses, knowing where to go with the ball, adjusting pre-snap and post-snap, taking control of that huddle, having pocket awareness. Like if Trubisky could learn these things immediately, that would be best for the franchise, but I just do not know if that's going to happen this season. If it does not, Nick Foles might be our best option this year at QB because, again, we don't need an elite quarterback to win games this year. We just need an average one that can put up, some amount of points, just enough to win games with this crazy defense that we have. So after all these training camp practices open to the media still does not know who's actually ahead in this QB battle because opinions are split all across the board. You go to one website, they're saying that's Trubisky ahead right now. Some are saying that's Foles. The majority, I would have to say, are agreeing Nick Foles is slightly ahead, but I still don't think you can make that decision yet without seeing Trubisky's full day with the ones, which is coming up on Tuesday. So it is literally impossible to tell who is ahead right now without any coaches tape or any input from the coaches or seeing, more practices. So nobody can agree on who's ahead, but if there's anything everybody can agree on, it's that no quarterback truly stood out from the other one. No quarterback went into this battle and completely ran away with it, which is kind of disappointing to some extent because I was hoping we would know who's starting week 1 by now. I would hope that either Trubisky was having his crazy breakout season, his comeback season by now, or maybe Foles was proving to be, a really great trade or something like that, but nobody is standing out from the other one for better or for worse. So we're not going to know until game day, week 1 against Detroit, who is actually starting because Matt Nagy said also in his press conference today that he's not going to announce a starter until game day. Now, a lot of fans I saw were pissed at this on Twitter. They're saying, after all this time, you still don't know who's starting week 1? Why wait so long to make a decision? Well, honestly, guys, it is a smart thing to do because you want Detroit to prepare for 2 different quarterbacks. You play defense way differently against Foles than you do Trubisky because they're 2 completely different types of quarterbacks. So why show your hand before you actually have to? Keep Detroit guessing for as long as you possibly have to. Now, it does suck as a fan base not to know who's starting week 1 because obviously, we're fans. We want to know what's going on, what's happening, who to cheer for the first week. But we're just going to have to roll with it, guys, because no quarterback is looking that much better than the other one. Now, personally, guys, if you want to know my opinion, what I think is going to happen, if you ask me, even though a lot of media outlets are saying that Nick Foles is slightly ahead as of now, I honestly do think that Trubisky is going to be starting for us week 1. I don't know why. It's kind of just a gut feeling, not really anything based on facts or game tape or anything like that, but it's just somewhat of a gut feeling. I feel like the Bears do want to give Trubisky one last chance to prove that he can be their franchise quarterback. I know a lot of you would be pissed if Trubisky is starting week 1, but I do truly feel like Brian Pace and Matt Nagy want to give him one last chance. That's kind of why they traded for Nick Foles and not went after a different quarterback because obviously, Nick Foles has been a really great backup for a lot of seasons in his career. He's a perfect backup. So maybe they just wanted to give Trubisky somebody to kind of push him a little bit, kind of push him to the next level, but not fully steal his job. That's just a theory that I have. Obviously, it could be true, it could not be true, but based on my gut feeling, I really feel like Trubisky is somehow starting week 1. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who do you think is starting week 1? I want to know what you guys have to say. Moving on to the next story, goddamn, I talked about that for a long time. I think the video is already at, 7 or 8 minutes, so sorry about that. Moving on to the next story, guys, talking about the defense a little bit. Like I kind of already mentioned throughout this entire video, Kyle Fuller is having a crazy spectacular training camp so far. Out of all the players on defense, you could legitimately make the argument that Kyle Fuller is having the best training camp out of all of them. Today, he was really active, getting his hands on the ball, getting 2 interceptions, getting a lot of pass deflections as well. But even beyond today, the last couple of days and even the last week, Kyle Fuller has been looking remarkable in coverage, making a lot of plays on the ball and just looking dominant from start to finish. Matt Nagy today said that I want to start off by saying Kyle Fuller has had a tremendous camp. I mean a really, really good camp. So overall, Matt Nagy has a lot of praise for Kyle Fuller. A lot of his teammates have that as well. I saw Eddie Jackson speaking a lot of good things about Kyle Fuller. Akeem Hicks as well. Like, a lot of people on this defense think that Kyle Fuller is again primed for a possible all-pro type of season. People do underrate him a lot because he's not truly maybe like a lockdown cornerback like you view, a Stephon Gilmore, somebody like that. But Kyle Fuller quietly, guys, has been putting up a crazy amount of stats over the past 3 seasons, and he has looked like one of the best cornerbacks in the entire NFL over that span. So stop sleeping, guys, on Kyle Fuller. Moving on to the next story, I have to talk about the tight ends as well, because the tight ends, again, dominated today like they have been pretty much the entire practice. I've already talked about the tight ends so much, so I'm not going to labor on too much about how great they are, because you can watch my previous videos if you want to know how much they've been dominating. Cole Kmet just completely bodying people, Jimmy Graham going over the top and just catching touchdowns over defenders. Like, both of them have honestly been the stars of training camp so far on offense, which is such a welcome sight to see, because in previous years, that has not been the case whatsoever. Tight ends have not been a strength on the Chicago Bears offense for a really, really long time, okay? The last time I can think that tight end was legitimately a strength for us was the Greg Olsen days. Actually, I kind of take that back, okay? Martellus Bennett was a pretty decent tight end the couple years he was here, but he was also kind of crazy, so nonetheless, man, to get Cole Kmet and Jimmy Graham, that is such a phenomenal upgrade over what we had last year. Like, it's not even comparable. I know this is only training camp, so I'm going to try to temper my expectations for the regular season, because obviously training camp does not mean everything. But just looking at how much they are truly dominating, you cannot help but be excited about the potential for the tight ends in the offense this year. Both our tight ends were again active in the red zone like they have been pretty much the entire training camp period. Cole Kmet caught a pass from Nick Foles. Jimmy Graham caught a touchdown pass in the corner of the end zone from Mitch Trubisky. So, they're really dominating in the end zone. Like, I've seen them catch multiple touchdowns pretty much every single practice. Today, speaking to the media, Trubisky said that I think we have a deadly tight end room. They're super athletic, they're big, and they're long, and they're physical in the run game. And when you throw the ball up in the air, they can go up and high point it. They all have unique abilities, but I think together they can be a special room that can really help our offense this year. So it's our job to create mismatches for them and let them use their abilities. And as a quarterback, it's my job to put the ball where they can go make great plays for them. So what Trubisky just said here, that's 100% facts. Like, our tight end room this year compared to previous years, it's so much more athletic, it's so much bigger. Like, both Cole Kmet and Jimmy Graham are freaks of nature. They're ridiculously tall, have crazy builds, can jump super high. Cole Kmet, he was a pretty great blocker in college, and that should translate nicely to the NFL, hopefully. So either case, man, our tight end group does have the potential to single-handedly change our offense from how bad it was last year, with the crazy playmaking ability and the strength in the run game that they bring. Moving on, I have some great news on Robert Quinn. So as you guys all know, Robert Quinn has been out of full practice for the past couple weeks. He wasn't doing full team drills. He was still practicing, but not doing it with the team because he was out for some time due to a personal issue, and they didn't want to bring him back up to full speed like too fast. They want to make sure that he was going to be fully healthy, not getting going way too fast. So they brought him back up to doing full team drills very slowly, but now it's looking like he's completely fine because today in practice, guys, he was not limited whatsoever and did a full team practice. And man, did he look really good and really explosive already. Robert Quinn unofficially had 2 sacks today. Obviously you cannot actually hit the quarterback in just practice and scrimmages, so he didn't actually get his chance to lay out a hit on Trubisky or Foles, but he did beat the tackle that he was going up against, and in an actual game, that would have been a sack most likely. So he's already showing his extreme explosiveness, his wide array of pass rushing moves, and Matt Nagy said that it was really good seeing him out there, and he said that I thought he had a couple nice plays. That's why he's here, is to be able to do that. We like being able to see 52 and 94 on the edges going after the quarterback. So overall, man, really great news to see him dominating this fast, fully back up to speed now, because this pass rushing duo could be a force to reckon with this season. Let's also give you guys an update on David Montgomery, where he's at with his injury, which he suffered a groin strain a couple days ago, which looked pretty bad at first, but it turned out not to be as bad as originally thought. He's only going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks, most likely. So that is not bad at all, guys. Like, I was expecting possibly an even longer period, because you never know with groin strains, groin injuries, like they could linger for a long time too. Sometimes they can be pretty severe. Now, hopefully this 2 to 4 week period means he's going to be fully healthy at that point and not just limited, because a limited David Montgomery, especially dealing with the groin injury, is not going to be anywhere close to fully healthy David Montgomery. And to have the full type of breakout season that I think he can have, he's going to have to be 100% healthy and not limited in making his lateral movements, his cuts and all. So hopefully, guys, he will be fully fine, but it's nice to see either case he's only going to be out, for 2 to 4 weeks. And finally, my last story of the day, kicker Cairo Santos actually has a chance to be the week 1 starter in Detroit for us over Eddie Pinheiro. Now, a couple days ago, if you told me that, I would have said that you were crazy, because Cairo Santos, again, like I mentioned, he's not been really great over the past couple years, and Eddie Pinheiro is looking like the kicker of the future for the Chicago Bears, based on the pretty decent rookie season that he had. I mean, his rookie season, again, was top 3 all-time in Bears rookie history, even over Robbie Gould. He started out the year on fire, he ended the year on fire. In between, obviously, he got injured, so he didn't do as well, but overall, he does look like a pretty talented young kicker. So I thought he would be starting for us week 1, but it seems like his groin injury is keeping him out. He hasn't attempted a single kick yet during all of training camp. Real life games start in 2 weeks. Like, Detroit is only 2 weeks away, guys, so not to have kicked even a single time yet, it does worry me a lot at this point. And Cairo Santos, so far in camp, he's looking like a pretty decent kicker. Today in the scrimmage, he made all of his field goals, which included a lot of extra points, a lot of medium distance field goals. Now, I don't know how he's going to do with the wind at Soldier Field. Hopefully, Eddie Pinheiro is going to heal up fast, because I truly think it's best for the Bears organization if he is the kicker moving forward. But that's pretty much all the news I have for you guys today. Leave your opinions and thoughts down below in the comments. And again, thank you for all the love during the series. I will 100% be back doing the series again next year, but hopefully at that point I'm actually allowed to go to the practices and not just watch from home like all of us are during these COVID times. So as always, guys, bear down.